Thank you. That was beautiful. Beautiful. And now, Dr. David Flatt.
Are we on?
We're on.
Good morning. Thank you, Amber. Please take out this insert in your bulletin, and you can turn to the cartoon. Today is Sunday in Advent, when we devoted to the topic of love. And some of you know that today is the first day of Hanukkah, and there was a violent mass killing in Australia of a Jewish community today. Some people look out on our world and our society as a toxic mix of rage and revenge. So on our journey in life, that's a journey on your cartoon. We can fight, or we can choose to learn to love like Jesus loved. Now, oceans of ink have been spent on the topic of love. Today I find myself in a loving environment with all of you. Nevertheless, they've asked me to talk about love. And I wish to talk about loving like Jesus loved. First, a disclaimer. I haven't been reading Charles Fillmore, and I haven't been going to the course on love that Carnegie gives. Are you here, Carnegie? So you can't blame either of those two people if there's something I say that you don't like. Reverend Donna did give me some advice. She said, you hold the mic like a ice cream cone. Don't wave it around. And don't slobber on it. Let me tell you where I am coming from. I am informed by my entire life experience, starting with being raised in a loving Christian environment at my home and also in boarding school in Africa. And I'm also informed by multiple spiritual mentors and teachers. Some of those are, just a few of those are printed on the back of your cartoon. Raymond Carver was an American short story writer and poet. He lived what might be called a somewhat tumultuous life. He had multiple blue-collar jobs. He moved and moved and moved. He had several marriages. He struggled with alcohol and drug abuse. He taught at several institutions. And he died at the age of 50 from cancer. In his last days, his last poem that he wrote was titled Late Fragment, and I have given that to you. And it reads, "And did you get what you wanted from life? Even so, I did. And what was it you wanted from life? To find myself beloved, to call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on this earth." Do you call yourself beloved? Do you feel yourself beloved? The even so in this poem conjures up the vicissitudes of life, those hard places, the pain, the sorrow, the loss, the failures. Do you call yourself beloved? Even so. I believe that the harmony in the universe, all of it, subatomic particles, distant galaxies, black holes, creatures, people, plants, all of it derives from a God of love. All creation derives from a God of love. As Marcus Borg, a theologian, says, all things are in God. All things are in God. Now, another theologian, Paul Tillich, talks about the eternal now. The eternal now. Now, he says, is just a moment in time. Comes and goes in a flash. Now, it's gone. Don't wave the mic. But he says, every moment in time reaches into the eternal. Every moment in time reaches into the eternal. Today, and this season, we celebrate the birth of Jesus. He said, follow me. People still are. Every moment in time reaches into the eternal. And Jesus was a great lover and taught us how to love. No doubt in your life you have had experiences of the eternal. Some years ago, in fact it was 1991, I was a successful doctor in the community, and I fell about 18 or 20 feet directly onto my head. Now, I could tell you about the love and care of my family or the love and care of my doctors and nurses, but what I remember most about that experience was waking up after 3 days in a coma in the hospital and having this experience of absolute awe. I was looking at the hospital ceiling, which I don't think was any fancier than this, but I felt like I was looking into eternity. And that morning at noontime, 4 men came to my bedside. One was the notorious abortion doctor of Wichita, Kansas, Dr. George Tiller. Mark was a fundamentalist, Bible-quoting Christian. And 2 other men took their lunch hour to come to see me. Now, I'm sure that these 4 guys would not have agreed about the correct approach to abortion or many other things. But I understood them to be there to love me. And Mark, my fundamentalist Christian brother, led a prayer. Every moment in time stretches into the eternal. 2 years later, George Tiller, the abortion doctor, was killed while ushering in his church. He was murdered by an anti-abortion activist. Now, most often we don't have dramatic experiences or epiphanies of the eternal. It is in, and I'm trying to turn the page. How do you do this when you're holding this microphone? It is in quiet meditation and prayer that we may experience the consciousness of our eternal destiny. and our place in the universe. It's that consciousness that reminds me of the harmony of love in the universe and my need to engage myself in that. Now, love is not simply an emotion or a feeling. Love, I believe, is an activity. 1 million people in the United States suffer from a condition called age-related macular degeneration, and there are millions others in the world that have that, and it renders them blind. Recently, in a study that Stanford University conducted with other medical centers, they looked at, in a small group of patients, they put a microchip in the retina, and that, along with a special pair of glasses, restored vision in the majority of these patients. That is remarkable. You could call it a miracle. It is certainly good. Now, was this a remarkable achievement the product of focus on reward, advancement as a scientist, profit, or was it the product of conscious, loving activity? It matters because as Christians, the love we talk about is not related to reward, is not conditional, is not about attraction or feelings. It's not simply about focus on a goal. The love we talk about is agape love, the Greek word for unconditional love. Our whole Jewish and Christian tradition teaches us about a God of love. Just last week we sang Emmanuel, God with us. When the Israelites were enslaved in Babylon, Isaiah had this to say to them. The Lord who created you says, do not be afraid, I will save you. I have called you by name, you are mine. A theologian named Daniel Schroyer wrote a whole book about these words entitled Original Blessing. I had to bring in a female theologian. And you know, when Jesus was baptized, Matthew records these words from heaven. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Jesus' entire life says to us, whoever you are, wherever you are loved. How do we claim our belovedness? St. Paul, in his letter to the Colossians, says, you are God's people. He loved you and chose you for his own. Therefore, you must clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Compassion. What does it mean? It means empathy with action. It means, if you will, conscious love in action. Conscious love in action matters because it connects us to a universe of love. It connects us to the eternal. It makes us whole. How do we train to be actively loving? Well, one way we've alluded to already is meditation. Some people meditate at focused times of the day. Some people meditate as they go through their day. Some people do it on their knees. Some people do it standing up. Some people do it with other people. A saying which goes back to the 1930s and is not clearly attributed to anybody is this: it is easier to act yourself into a way of thinking than it is to think yourself into a way of acting. Now, I generally agree with that because it puts the emphasis on action. But acting yourself into a way of thinking is not of itself conscious loving activity. Conscious loving activity is rooted in meditation, which finds myself in a universe of love. It is rooted in conscious action, which is aware of the eternal. And it is rooted in giving, without constraint or precondition. Conscious loving activity derives from our belovedness, and it does require discipline. So, as we finish this little talk, I ask you again, are you beloved? Do you feel yourself beloved? And are you exercising the discipline necessary to grow in Christ consciousness? Are you growing in conscious loving activity? And there will be an addendum.
Thank you